Welcome to Biff's Mystery Theater. I have many tales to tell you. Ghost stories, murder stories, and tales that will make your bones chill. Join me, won't you? Every Sunday night for Theater of the Mind, where you always have the best seat in the house. And now for tonight's tale. Now close your eyes and turn off the lights.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. We've a story to tell you which will take you back in time to a period when our country was very young and the country from which we separated was centuries old. One reason we are Americans and not Englishmen is that King George III was mad, periodically during his early years on the throne, continuously for the last 11. This 11-year period, known as the Regency, provides us with the background for the story that follows.
And I must confess, Maria, her attitude seemed very odd to me.
It was odd, Doctor. Unless you understand and accept her ability to remove herself from this world.
Remove herself? Oh, I don't know any way that can be done until death does it for us.
But she says it's very like death, but a very happy thing.
It would be pleasant, wouldn't it, to think of death as a happy thing? At least for the one who dies.
But I fancy it is, Doctor. It's those who must live on who suffer. Wouldn't you say?
Our mystery drama, The Climbing Boy, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Elspeth Eric and stars Marion Seldes. It is sponsored in part by Buick Motor Division. I'll be back shortly with Act One. The regent, who was not to become George IV till the death of his mad father in 1820, was not a wicked man, nor even a malicious one. It was simply that he lived exclusively for his own pleasure, and in so doing set the lifestyle for most Englishmen, at least for those who could afford it. One who could not afford it tells us why.
Had it not been for the deep and abiding affection I bore Lady Emily, I should never have accepted her invitation to spend a fortnight at Feathers. I despised Lord Hollander, and I'm sure he thoroughly reciprocated my feelings. But her invitation carried more, I felt, than a simple desire to enjoy my company. It held a note of desperation. I hope, my dear Maria, you will not be put off by the fact that Lord and Lady Agremont will also be our guests.
It is nothing new for Rodney to bring his mistress into our home. But this time, he had the audacity to invite her husband as well. You know what a foolish, foppish man Lord Agremont is. To have to sit by and witness Rodney's dalliance with Hester is bad enough. To listen to William's inanities is more than I can endure.
And so it was that I grimly packed my portmanteau and took the coach to Feathers.
Maria, how good of you to come.
Only for you, my dear, would I?
Oh, Maria. Come upstairs, and I'll show you to your room. Just leave your portmanteau. Tipton will bring it up, or somebody will. Come on. Here's your room, right next to mine.
Oh, it's lovely.
Well, it's a bit on the chill side right now. So is the whole house, for that matter. But Rodney's having the chimney swept out this morning, and once that's done, we'll have a great roaring fire going for you.
Oh, that'll be lovely.
Oh, Maria, I know I'm not giving you time to settle in or anything, but I had to talk to you privately. You're the only one I can talk to. You're my only friend, really.
Emily, dear, don't agitate yourself so. Of course you can talk to me.
Well, I haven't even asked you if you're hungry, if you want a cup of tea or anything.
Later. You're trembling. Now, what is it?
Well, of course, you know how things are between Rodney and me.
Yes, I have some idea. Not good.
Hester Agramont. She's only the latest in a long line of mistresses he's had. Her husband doesn't seem to care.
And to bring them both into this house.
Only for the weekend. But it should be this weekend, Maria. It's just a year ago that it happened.
You mean Peter?
That we lost him. Rodney hasn't approached me since. I haven't wanted him to. Oh, it's not because he's grieving for our son. Oh, no, it's not that. It's because he's become, well, let's say, weary of me. Weary of my spells. He dislikes them intensely.
What spells? You don't have spells.
Oh, yes, I do. Rodney's right about that. My dead spells, he calls them. And that's not at all a poor description either. For I feel very close to death during those spells.
Emily, you can't mean that.
Oh, I do. But it's a happy feeling. Believe me, it is.
But it can't be. What on earth are you talking about?
Well, it's not a physical death, Maria. During the spells, I'm here all right. I talk, walk, eat, drink, and order the servants about, and plan meals, do all the things I always do. Only part of me isn't here at all.
Well, where is it?
I don't know precisely. But not here.
How long has this been going on?
Since Peter died. Or since shortly after. Poor little boy. He was only 5 years old, Maria.
I know.
And I suppose that in my dead spells, I'm trying to be with Peter. I have the feeling that he needs me.
And you say this has been going on for a whole year?
Well, the first one was just under a year ago. I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't mean to do it. Not the first time. I can go off now. Any time I want to.
You want to? You do it on purpose?
Oh, Maria, yes. When I can't bear it here any longer, it's wonderful to have some place to go.
I'll grant you that. There are times when I'd like a place to go. But, Emily, where is it that you go?
I don't know. Or perhaps I do now. But I can't talk about it. I'm in another world. Oh, my body is here. My body with all its faculties. Sight, speech, hearing. The essence of myself is somewhere else.
You make it sound like some sort of mystical experience.
Perhaps it is.
Emily, tell me something. When you go someplace else and yet your body stays here.
Yes?
Well, can you be seen? Is there something of you that can be recognized?
I'm not quite sure. One time, when I went off in the middle of the night, Rodney swears he saw a ghost wandering across the lawn. The ghost of a woman, he said, with long dark hair trailing down her back, nearly to her knees.
As yours does.
Oh, you and I know there are no ghosts. And that night, being so put out by Rodney's teasing, I know I wanted him to see me, wanted it intensely, that he should see and understand I could leave him any time I wanted to, in the spirit, if not in the flesh.
Oh, Emily, I do hope you know what you're about.
I'm able to live, Maria. Otherwise...
Otherwise what?
Who knows?
Emily.
Emily?
Yes? Who is it?
William, my dear.
Is it all right?
Oh, of course.
Come in, William.
Ah, Tipson said I might find you here.
You remember Maria True, William?
Oh, yes. How are you, Maria?
Very well, and you?
Thought I'd hack about the countryside for an hour before luncheon. I thought you might come with me, Emily. Hate to ride alone.
I'm afraid not. There's so much to be done here.
Oh. Maria?
Oh, I don't ride.
Oh, it's a pity.
Well, why don't you ask Rodney to accompany you? I'm sure he'd love to.
Oh, he would, but he's otherwise engaged.
Oh?
Oh, not what you think, my dear. No, his time's being taken up by some local fellow named Harding, I believe.
Harding?
Had 2 small boys with him.
But that's Harding, the chimney sweep.
Yes, I believe there was some talk about cleaning out chimneys.
But we have a machine for doing that.
All right, I'm off to the stables. See you at the luncheon table.
Can't be. He can't have called in Harding. We have a machine.
I never heard of a machine for sweeping chimneys.
Well, it isn't really a machine. It's a very, very long brush. You can reach way up the chimney with it. I had one sent down from London only last week.
Well, let's go downstairs and see what's happening.
Oh, yes, I can't bear the thought of using these climbing boys. They're so young.
They have to be at least 8 years of age. That's a law.
Well, they shouldn't be used at all. There should be a law to that effect.
The Select Committee has just failed for the 3rd time to pass a bill like that. It was laughed down in the House of Lords.
Laughed down? What was there to laugh at?
Oh, someone made what they considered a very funny speech, saying that the climbing boys were like a dose of calomel prescribed by a doctor to clean out the system.
Come, Marie. Oh, we must see what's going on. I won't permit
All right.
it. Not in my house.
Up you go, my boy. Up. Easy at this, my lord.
Rodney, whatever are you doing? Why aren't you using the long brush? Why is this boy...
Don't fuss, Emily.
Rodney,
don't
you
fuss.
swore to me.
Tipson flatly refused to use the brush, so what was I to do?
Well, you could have used it yourself.
Myself? Oh, come
You
now.
promised no climbing boy would enter this house.
Can't you hustle him up a bit, Harding? He's only gone up about 6 feet and stopped there.
What are you going to do?
Nothing too drastic, Lady Hollander. Here, boy. Up and after him.
What?
I'm giving this other boy a pin, my lady, a coming pin.
What on earth for?
He'll go up after the little one and give him a few jabs with a pin.
What?
In the soles of the little one's feet, you see. That'll move him over.
Oh, no, you can't. You can't.
All right now, boy, up with you. Just a few jabs with a pin. Don't overdo it. Just enough to get him moving on up. You know how.
I can't believe what I'm seeing.
How you doing up there? No good, huh? One move, huh? Well, I'm off. Nobody wants a bit of a cross-country ride, eh?
We're busy, William.
Oh, you're having a bit of trouble, are you, with the climbing boys? Little one's new to it, sir. Got up a few feet and wouldn't budge. Wouldn't budge, eh? Well, I've got a way to fix that. Saw it done at Lady Milburn's a week ago.
William, what are you doing?
I've got a little bit of hay here. I was saving it to give to my horse.
You're not lighting it.
But of course I am. Now, let's add a little something. Let's see what have we got
Well,
here.
here's a few pages from the London Tap.
No, that'll do the trick.
Oh, you can't. You stop it.
Brute.
You brute. Oh.
That'll move him all right. Yeah, if he doesn't want his feet burnt to a crisp. All right, move, boy.
I can't bear it. I can't.
Oh, my dear.
Go to your room, Emily.
No.
Is he moving?
Oh, he must be.
Oh, dear God. He's fallen. He's fallen. Oh, my boy. Oh, poor boy.
Man's inhumanity to man. All true, dear listener. And it all happened just this way. Small boys who had no one to protect them, no parents, no friends, no one who cared, and no government. So it went in merry England during the reign of the Prince of Pleasure. I'll be back shortly with Act 2. The last we heard from our climbing boy was not a spoken word. Indeed, we have yet to hear him speak at all. No, it was the sound of his small body crashing down the chimney of Lord Rodney Hollander's country estate after pins had been stuck into his dangling legs in an effort to force him further up the chimney, and as a last resort, a fire had been lighted beneath him. Now it is an hour later, and luncheon is being served.
Where's Emily? She should be here.
She's upstairs, I believe.
Doing what?
I believe she's with the boy.
The climbing boy?
The one who fell down the chimney.
He didn't fall. He simply let go and dropped. Why didn't she send him home with Harding?
I believe she's giving him a bath.
A what? A bath? You said a bath? Whatever for? I've always understood that climbing boys never bathe. Well, it makes sense now, doesn't it?
Will you all excuse me?
Where are you going, Maria?
Upstairs.
But there's a saddle of mutton coming, Maria.
I've had enough, thank you. I'll be with Emily.
I'm not sure Maria's the sort of friend Emily should cultivate, Rodney. Oh, I know. But what can I do? Emily's very set in her ways.
Dear boy, I'm going to have to let you soak in the warm water. The dirt has ground into your skin. I'm afraid to scrub any harder. Just sit here. May I? Thank you. What's your name? Oh, you don't know? Is that what you're trying to tell me? It is. Well, why don't we give you a name? Would you like that? How would you like to be called? Well, how about Peter? Do you like that for a name? Oh, you do? Then we shall call you Peter. Peter shall be your name.
Very apt.
Oh, Maria, I was just talking to the boy here. He's not very talkative himself, but I expect that's because he's shy.
Are you shy, Peter? I don't think he knows the word.
Oh, there's so much he doesn't know.
Peter, if that's to be your name, for the time being at least. How old are you?
Yes, darling. How old? Do you know? 8. You're 8 years old. Yes, 8. Maria, I don't believe it. 8. Look at that tiny body. He's not 8 years old. He looks more to be like 5 or even 4.
His occupation does not encourage growth. However, you're not really 8 years old, are you, Peter?
Yes, 8. 8.
He's just been told to say that. Threatened, probably.
He's about the age my boy would be. Had he lived?
Well, let's get on with this bath, shall we? It's going to take a month of soaking before you'll get rid of this dirt. It's formed a crust all over him. And then, heavens, boy, what do they give you to eat?
Yes, Peter, dear. What does Mr. Harding feed you? Tell me. I want to know. Please. Nothing.
Nothing?
Is that possible? Oh, Maria, fetch him some milk and whatever else you think that...
Yes, maybe some of the luncheon soup.
Oh, yes, do hurry. Oh, Peter, you shall have some nice, rich, fresh milk, right from our own sweet cows. You'll like that, won't you? Won't you? I don't believe you know what milk is. Is that possible?
I've come to fetch some milk.
Where's Emily?
She's with the boy. The milk's for the boy.
The boy? Maria, I forbid it.
Nevertheless...
This is my house. It's my milk, and I forbid it. Nobody feeds the climbing boys, Maria. They're supposed to fend for themselves.
Rodney, these boys are sold to the older men who use them. Not only that, they're often kidnapped.
Oh, I can't believe
well,
that.
It's quite true. You know the story of the Strickland boy, don't you?
Strickland? Oh, the Stricklands from Manchester?
Yes, a climbing boy came crashing down the chimney of a home they were visiting. A tiny boy, and very handsome. And the Stricklands took him home with them.
Oh, that's a mistake. Grave mistake right there.
And when the boy saw the silver forks the Stricklands use, he cried out, "My papa has forks like this."
My word.
And the boy said the Lord's Prayer each night without being taught it.
Well, obviously. Boy of good family.
Yes, and then the story came out after some investigation. The boy's mother was dead. The father was traveling abroad, and the child had been left in the care of an uncle. The gypsies abducted him and sold him to a sweep for 10 guineas. And that boy was 4 years old.
4? Oh, yes, that's very young.
Well, if you'll take a look at the boy in the tub upstairs, you'll conclude that he could be 4 years old, 5 at the very most. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'll fetch the milk.
Put him in my bed, Maria. Poor little boy. He looks so frail, doesn't he?
He couldn't take the milk. Oh, perhaps I should have heated it.
I've sent for Dr. Carruthers.
If you don't eat, you'll die. Do you know that? You do.
What did he say?
He doesn't say anything. He just nods his head.
What does that mean?
I'd say it means he wants to die.
Peter? That's not what you want, is it, my darling? You want to live and grow up to be a fine, strong boy and have a wonderful life. Oh, don't turn your head away, please. Please look at me. No, you're not going to die. I'm not going to let you die.
Too bad Lady Emily had to miss that superb dinner.
Well, there was no need for her to miss it. Emily's very stubborn sometimes.
Oh, yes, I can see that.
Makes it quite difficult for me, you understand?
Oh, quite.
I swear, that woman gets more peculiar all the time.
In what way, peculiar?
Well, she has these spells, you know.
I'd say, hold on a minute. I do believe Emily's coming down.
Oh, my dear. I'm glad you could join us.
Where's Maria?
She's with the boy. We're expecting Dr. Carruthers momentarily.
You sent for Carruthers? In heaven's name, why?
Because the boy is ill.
But you should have sent him back to Harding. Let Harding look after him.
It's because of Harding the boy is ill.
Oh, nonsense, Emily, really.
Rodney, I want to adopt this boy.
Adopt him?
Well, he's just about the age Peter would be now. That's what Maria thinks, and so do I. He needs care and love and all sorts of things I can give him and that he's not going to get from anyone else if he goes on with the life he's been leading.
Dear Emily, I know your tender heart, but why should you give him anything? He's not your responsibility.
I know that. I want to make him my responsibility. I want to adopt him, Rodney.
Oh, no, it's out of the question.
Why is it out of the question?
Well, it simply is. I have no desire for a son not my own.
I have.
We know nothing at all about this boy.
We could ask Harding. We could ask him from whom he bought him. Or stole him.
No.
You might find out something interesting, Rodney.
Now, Maria, kindly keep out of this.
I just wanted to remind you of the Stricklands. They adopted that boy. They educated him.
Yes, you see, Rodney, we could do the same.
I don't know.
That must be the doctor. I saw his trap pull up.
Oh, let him in, Maria, and take him upstairs, will you?
Of course I shall.
Oh, Rodney, please do this one thing for me. Please.
In here, Dr. Carruthers.
After you, Miss True. Well, this is the patient.
Yes.
This is not Lady Emily's boy.
Oh, no. He's a climbing boy who was brought here to sweep out the chimneys.
Why, this boy is half dead already. Why wasn't I called sooner?
Well, we only just... Well, We didn't know. He fell down the chimney.
He's no more than 4 or 5, I'd say.
We fed him some milk, but he couldn't keep it down.
Yeah, he hasn't had milk in a long time. If ever. The boy is dying, Miss True.
But he can't. He can't die.
There's nothing I can do. These climbing boys, there's no hope for them.
But there must be something you can do.
They die of exposure, of bad food or no food, of burns, beatings, overwork. Most of all, I say they die of a wish to die.
That's what Emily and I...
Yes?
We were saying he didn't seem to want to live.
Would you? Would you want to live his life? Their lungs are filled with mortar and soot that blinds them, chokes them. Most of them develop asthma or some other respiratory condition. Their knees and elbows are bruised.
It's terrible. It's all so terrible.
Why, Miss True, do you know that climbing boys have been sent up chimneys that were already on fire? I think our climbing boy has breathed his last, Miss True.
No.
Don't grieve. He's better off.
But Emily, Lady Hollander was going to adopt him. She's below stairs now talking to her husband about it.
I'm sorry the boy couldn't be saved. Perhaps a year ago. Who knows?
I don't know how to tell her. She lost her own little boy just 5 years ago.
A boy named Peter, wasn't it?
Yes. She started to call this one Peter. He didn't seem to know his own name.
Maria, I brought Rodney up to see the boy. Oh, Dr. Carruthers, thank you for coming.
Lady Hollander. How are you, Carruthers?
What's the matter? Doctor?
The boy is dead, Lady Hollander. You say he's dead?
Yes, Rodney.
Well, it's a good thing we didn't go ahead with what we were talking about, isn't it? The boy must not have had a decent constitution, eh, Doctor? He wasn't very strong, no. We'd have had all sorts of trouble with him, wouldn't we, if we'd adopted him? We were thinking of it. Probably you would have had, yes. Well, one damned thing after another. That's what it would have been. Well, Emily?
Leave her alone, Rodney.
Well, she's all right. Aren't you?
I'm all right.
Lady Hollander, are you all right?
Dr. Carruthers, I'm so sorry we got you over here to no purpose. Won't you stay for supper? I think it's roast beef tonight.
Please stay, Doctor.
You could spend the night as well, if you like.
Please, Doctor, I'd so like to talk to you.
Oh, you're very kind.
Then it's all settled. Come, Doctor. I'll show you to your room. I'll get Tipson to make it up for you.
Well, that's most kind of you, Lady Hollander. She's gone off again. One of her dead spells. Blast. Why should I have to put up with this?
Come to the window, Rodney. I want to show you something.
Huh? What is it?
Look down there, among the yew trees.
Well, I don't see anything.
You don't? It's the outline of a woman. She's holding a small boy by the hand. And now she's leaning over, and he's whispering something in her ear, and she's nodding her head. Pity you can't see it. It's very clear to me.
You remember that Lady Emily Hollander had, or believed she had, the ability to make herself seen by whomever she wished during these so-called spells. Why, then, is her outline so distinct this time to Maria, while Lord Hollander sees nothing? We shall try to bring you the most cogent answer of which we are capable when we come back with Act 3. The climbing boy is dead. Dead at a very tender age. No more than 5. Dead at almost the very moment when a new life might have dawned for him. under the tender care of Lady Emily Hollander, dead before he had hardly experienced life at all. Now let our story be carried forward by the woman who began it, Miss Maria True.
Supper that evening was a horror. Emily sat at the head of the table and conversed in a manner that could only signify that she was having one of her dead spells, as her husband termed them. Most assuredly, she was not the Emily who had been my dear friend for so many years. Dr. Carruthers and I maintained silence for the most part. It wasn't till we had left the table that I could draw him aside. Dr. Carruthers, could we take a stroll on the veranda? I do need to talk to you.
Oh, of course, Miss True. After you.
Thank you. Dr. Carruthers, I want to assure you that the woman you saw tonight presiding over the dinner table is not Emily, is not Lady Hollander.
Not?
Oh, it was her body, of course. But she was not in it.
I don't think I'm following you.
Her spirit is elsewhere.
Yes, I confess her attitude when we were forced to tell her the boy had died was not all that I'd expected. Particularly when you'd told me she was considering adoption. It seemed very odd.
It was very odd, unless you understand and accept Lady Hollander's ability to remove herself from this world.
Remove herself? I don't know any way that can be done until death does it for her.
Well, she told me only this morning that it's very like death. It seems close to death, but that it's a very happy thing.
It would be pleasant, wouldn't it, to think of death as a happy thing? At least for the one who dies. But Lady Hollander obviously does not die. Only her mind seems to stray away.
Not her mind, Doctor. Her soul.
Yes, I stand corrected.
Oh, I'm so grateful you consented to stay, Dr. Carruthers. I sorely needed someone to talk to. Now, there's one more thing.
Yes?
After you and Lady Hollander left the room this afternoon, Lord Hollander and I were there alone. And I chanced to be standing by the window and looking out, and I saw... I hesitate to tell you because you'll think me daft.
Not you, Miss True.
I saw a woman by the yew trees.
Yes?
And a small child, little boy.
Oh, yes. What was there about that to perturb you?
It's my belief, Doctor, against my best judgment, against my common sense. It is my belief that as soon as Lady Hollander heard of the death of the climbing boy, her spirit, her soul, if you like, withdrew from the room of death and went outside under the yew trees. And there she met... Well, who knows? The soul of her son, Peter? Or the soul of the climbing boy? So, one way or another, we got through that dreadful evening. Everyone prepared to retire for the night.
I suppose, Lord Hollander, you've made arrangements for the disposal of the body.
Oh, you mean the climbing boy? Oh, yes. Yes, Harding came over and took it away just before supper. All taken care of. Though I must say Harding was put out. He'd had great expectations for that boy. Just the right size and all for chimney sweeping. Still, couldn't be helped, I suppose.
I could not fall asleep. The awful events of the day crowded in on me. The sight of the boy's puny body in the tin tub of water flashed over and over again before my eyes. The words of Dr. Carruthers.
Why, this boy's half dead already.
Echoed in my head. His sad tones.
Climbing boys. There's no hope for them. They die of exposure, of bad food, no food, of burns. Most of all, I'd say they die of a wish to die.
Small wonder that I could not sleep. Small wonder that in the wee hours of the morning I was the first to smell the smoke. It was unmistakable. It was the smell of smoke, and not too far away. I sprang from my bed, seized my wrapper, and ran to the door of my room. Smoke. Thick, acrid smoke was pouring in great grey clouds from one of the rooms. From the room of my host, Lord Rodney Hollander. I opened my mouth to speak, when all at once I saw, through the whirling smoke, a figure, a woman, leaving Lord Hollander's bedroom, and with a great effort and concentration, she was... creepy sound. She was dragging a limp and prostrate body with her. It was Emily. At last I found my voice and screamed, "Help! Help! There's a fire! Help, everyone! Help!" There was a general opening of doors along the corridor. Sound of voices. Distance! Help! The fire was extinguished in due time. The servants, headed by Tipson, accomplished it for the most part. Dr. Carruthers and I both admired their fearlessness.
There wasn't much but smoke in the room. The actual fire was confined to the chimney.
Then Rodney died of the smoke.
Yes, suffocation. There was nothing to be done for him. One odd, deuced odd.
What was that, Doctor?
His feet were singed. The bottoms of his feet had been burned. What do you make of that? I mean, since the fire never really reached out into the room.
Well, I'm sure I can't explain it, Doctor, if you can't. What about Lady Agramont?
What about her? She'll be all right.
She was found in the hall, wasn't she?
It was just outside her own room. I suppose she was the first to smell the smoke and came out to investigate.
Oh, but then why didn't she cry out?
Well, didn't she?
I didn't hear her.
Well, somebody cried out. That's what roused me.
Yes, that's true. Someone did. I had one more chance to speak with Emily. She was still in one of her so-called dead spells. Yet there were moments when she seemed the same Emily I'd always known.
Can't you stay for a bit, Maria?
Oh, I must go up to London, Emily. Tend to a few matters. Matters of importance, my dear. Otherwise I wouldn't leave you. But the good Dr. Carruthers will stay on for a day or two, and by the time he leaves, I'll be back.
Good. Hester and Willie have already left.
I know.
I'm glad.
Why did you do it, Emily?
Do what?
I was the first to discover the smoke, you know. That is, the first after you. That's how I happened to see you dragging Hester's body out of Rodney's room.
Oh? You saw that?
Why did you do it?
Well, it wouldn't have been proper, now would it? For people to find out that Hester shared Rodney's bed. No, Rodney would have hated that.
But even so, why didn't you cry out as soon as you saw the smoke? No matter where it was coming from.
Oh, I knew very well where it was coming from. Before I saw it. Even before I smelled it.
But how could you? How could you have known?
I was waiting for it.
Whatever do you mean?
I'd been told.
Told what?
Told that there would be a fire in that particular chimney at precisely 3:15 in the morning.
Well, who could have told you?
Why, the climbing boy, Maria. He told me.
And then I remembered standing in the room where the boy lay dead. I heard Rodney's voice as I'd heard it then.
Damn, why should I have to put up with this, Maria? Why should I?
Come to the window, Rodney. I want you to see something.
What is it?
Look down there, among the yew trees.
Well, I don't see anything.
It's the outline of a woman. She's holding a small boy by the hand. Now she's leaning over, and he's whispering something in her ear, and she's nodding her head. Was that when the climbing boy had told Emily that there would be a fire in Rodney's chimney at 3:15 in the morning? I would have plenty to ponder on my journey up to London. Emily herself put me in the carriage, which would take me to the stagecoach.
Goodbye, my dear.
I'll see you in a few days.
Yes, that will be good.
And then we must make plans. Plans for your future.
Oh, yes. Plans.
You won't want to stay here.
I don't know.
Perhaps you'll try London for a while. You can stay with me. I have room.
We'll talk about it.
Goodbye, my dear.
Goodbye, Maria. Come back soon.
Well, I thought to myself, I've accomplished something for my friend. Now, I thought as we drove past the broad verandas, if only I can get her interested in the reform movement, there's hope for her. But then, as the carriage picked up speed, we passed the rose garden and came to the clump of yew trees. And there, I saw her. I saw Emily. Well, rather, I saw the outline of Emily. I called to the coachman to stop. Yes. One could say the figure was made of vapor or steam, and yet its dimensions and form were very clear, and down its back hung long dark hair, almost to its knees. I stared and stared until the horses grew impatient, for I saw something else. I saw a tiny figure of a boy, and then the figure of another boy. There were two of them, and both were running fast, fast. And she held out her arms, and they both ran into them, and she held them close, and she laughed, and they laughed. And then, as I stared, the strangest thing of all occurred. The two boys that she was holding in her arms looked at each other, both still laughing, and even as I stared, they became one boy. And he was laughing, and Emily was laughing, and holding him and rocking him in her arms, and they laughed together for the sheer joy of being together. And I knew that in all probability, Emily would never come up to London.
A sad story, was it not? A boy dead, a man too, a woman not quite right, well, not quite right mentally. A very sad story, really, yet ending in laughter. How can that be? We don't know, but this we wish for you, dear faithful listener, that whatever the sadnesses that enter your life, you will find somewhere, in some manner, the lightening, the leavening sound of laughter. I'll be back shortly. Our story of the climbing boy took place, as we have neglected to tell you, in the year of our Lord, 1819, in another country than ours, at a time when men laughed in Parliament at the fact that little boys were sent up chimneys. It is another time now and another place. Things are different now, here. But are they? If you think so, you haven't been paying attention. Our cast included Marion Seldes, Evie Juster, Court Benson, and Ian Martin. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Few writers have captured the taste, smell, and sensations of their times as has Charles Dickens, acknowledged today as the genius who created David Copperfield, Oliver Twist, Tiny Tim, Scrooge. The list is almost endless. Dickens was, in fact, an avid reporter. He had eyes and ears for what was happening. So it is not surprising he would try his hand at becoming a detective, which he did.
Let go of me. Let go, I say. I've got him, Rosie. He can't move. Now, do your job.
Wait a minute. What is that? What's that you're putting over my face?
Let go.
I held the soaked handkerchief to his nose. Oh, that chloroform works fast, doesn't it? He's not going to die, is he? Poor Mr. Dickens.
Our mystery drama, Dickens of Scotland Yard, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by G. Frederick Lewis and stars Paul Hecht. It wasn't usual, but then Inspector Field wasn't your usual kind of detective. And since he now worked at New Scotland Yard and was a great reader of the long and short stories of Charles Dickens, he invited the author to the yard to pick his brains, as we say today, a good century later.
I'm flattered, of course, Inspector Field, that you should think I might be of some value to Scotland Yard.
Well, Mr. Dickens, the difference between the old Bow Street runners and the men here now is that when a crime has been committed, we don't just round up all suspects in that category and badger each one until the guilty confess. Now we detect, sir. Detection is a new theory. Detection and the gathering of indisputable evidence. In other words, Dickens, the men we need now must have brains.
Yes, well, I can see where that might be useful.
Well, are you willing, sir, to place your brain at the disposal of Scotland Yard?
Inspector, at the moment I can't think of a better place to put it.
Good then, it's settled. From today on, you, Charles Dickens, are engaged as our consultant to the solution of crime at a stipend of £1 a day. Right, agreed?
Yes. What is our first case?
James Beadle, sir. He has been gammoned out of a good round sum of money by a man with a record as long as your arm.
Gammoned, Inspector Field?
Cheated, deceived. Humbug.
Humbug. I like that word. So, this James Beadle has been cheated
by one of the sharpest tricksters in London today. Tally-ho Thompson.
Ah, yes, Thompson. His reputation precedes him. I know the name. So, he has branched out from stealing horses, has he?
There's nothing that man wouldn't steal. And if he can't take it from you, he'll gain your confidence, so you'll give it to him.
Yes, one could call him a confidence man.
You're the writer, Dickens. You can make up whatever words you wish. Tally-ho promised Beadle a good situation, took the man's money under some pretext, and disappeared.
Yes, an old dodge.
And to get away, he stole a horse in Hertfordshire.
So if we get him, it'll be on 2 counts.
No if about it.
But Hertfordshire, that's some little distance from London, isn't it?
Well, the Yard doesn't care how far it has to send its men to apprehend criminals.
Yes, but that would mean travelling by train, wouldn't it?
Frequently. Don't you travel by train, Mr. Dickens?
Not if I can avoid it. I get violently ill on a train. Now, in the case of Tally-ho Thompson, what's your first move?
Well, where would you look, sir? You have all of England to search.
Is the man married?
Good thinking, yes, he is. His wife lives right here in London, in Chelsea.
Is she employed?
That's another good question. Yes, you do well. No, she is not. Tally-ho sees to it his wife is well taken care of.
Well, if this man, this Tally-ho, is in hiding, he may very well be sending his wife some money to live on. Yes, it's probably his pattern of living. Rob, hide out, sends his wife a lolly.
It's not bad. I'd agree to that. So, what would you say, Dickens, is our first move?
Well, to watch the house where Mrs. Townsend lives. That, gentle reader, or rather, I should say, my dear listener, is how I, Charles Dickens, first embarked upon a career of detection. And, with Inspector Field as my guide and mentor, I knew whatever I learned would be of great value to me as a writer, and exciting to me as an amateur sleuth. Field and I took watch in Chelsea, outside the Thompson house, for any sign or clue that could lead us to Tally-ho himself. I think we'll have any better results today than yesterday, Inspector.
Well, if Tally-ho Thompson has a safe place to hide, If from that safe place he writes to his wife, and having written to his wife, if he posted the letter.
Yes, a lot of ifs.
Dickens, the ABCs of surveillance are A, alertness, B, biding time, and C, caution. Sooner or later, Thompson is bound to get in touch with his wife.
Ah, look, here comes the postman again. I hope today he doesn't pass by Mrs. Thompson.
If he delivers a letter to her, would you like to try your hand at getting some information from him?
Oh, good. He's stopping at her house.
Yes, I understand you are somewhat of an actor also, Dickens.
He's ringing the doorbell.
Pretend to be a neighbor or a friend of Thompson, so the postman will tell you where the letter was postmarked.
I do read my own works to an audience, but I've never acted a part practically on top of them.
There. That must be Mrs. Thompson. Yes, he's handed her the letter. Yes. Go to it, Dickens.
Yes, but what'll I say?
Are you Charles Dickens, novelist, actor, asking me what to say? Pretend that you...
Yes. Well, don't tell me, Inspector, don't tell me. I think I have an idea. Good morning, sir. And, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Yes, lovely morning. I see you have just delivered a letter for Mrs. Thompson.
Yes, I have.
You didn't happen to notice what the postmark was by any chance?
No, I didn't.
Ah, yes. I'll be plain with you, sir. I'm in a small way of business, and I've given Thompson credit, and I really can't afford to lose what he owes me. I know he's got money, and I know he's in the country. If you could tell me what the postmark was on his letter, I should be very much obliged to you.
I don't see how I could help you.
Yes, but think. Now, remember, you held the letter in your hand, huh?
Yeah.
You must have looked at it.
I'd like to help you, but I didn't observe the postmark. I can tell you there was money in the envelope. I should say a sovereign. You know what I would do if I were you, sir?
No.
I'd go and talk to someone at Scotland Yard. They say they always get their man. They should be able to find this Thompson for you.
5 o'clock, Inspector. I'm beginning to realize how much standing about there is to spying.
Yes, the ABCs of surveillance.
Yes, but does it happen often that one has to wait 3 days for a suspect's relative to receive a letter from her husband and then several hours more for her to answer it? If she does.
She'll answer it in time, I'm certain. And we'll have to follow her letter to him. It is the only way we have of tracking him down.
Yes, but will she answer him today?
Well, it depends. Has he given her instructions? And what are the reasons she must write back to him?
So we could be here all day.
And all nighter. She may take the letter to a friend's house, in which case one of us would follow and the other would remain here.
On duty all night. You could catch a cold before you catch a thief.
Yes, there's a lot of outdoor work to be a detective.
Oh, look. Is that Mrs. Thompson leaving her house?
Yes, I'll head for the post office in case she's about to post a letter. Now, you follow her, Dickens, in case she plans a detour.
But I've never followed anyone before, Inspector. How far back do I keep?
Far enough so your quarry cannot notice you, but not so far that you could lose them.
Inspector Field, if you think you have just given me a helpful answer, let me reassure you, you have not.
No! Look here now, watch where you're going.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. I didn't mean to step on you.
I don't know what's your hurry, I must say.
Well, I wanted to be sure to get into this stationer's shop before it's closed.
My advice to you is, in the future, don't step all over people. Wait a moment.
See it?
Don't I know you?
No, madam, I don't believe I've had the pleasure.
I know I've seen you somewhere.
What can I do for you, madam?
1 sheet of writing paper, 1 envelope, and a threepenny stamp.
Yes, will that be all?
I wonder if it isn't too much to ask if I may sit myself down at this table. I have a quick note to write, and I don't want to miss the post.
Of course you may. There'll be 6pence for the paper and the envelope. And I shan't charge you for the use of the pen and the ink. There's sealing wax and matches on the table.
You wouldn't have change for a sovereign, would you?
Yes. Here you are.
Much obliged, I'm sure.
And, what can I do for you, sir? Oh, a package of 3 crowns tobacco, please. Snuff or, smoking? Snuff. Righto, that'll be 1 and 6. Do you mind if I, open the packet and, have a whiff? Do it yourself. I'll, just go over to the window here to, pry it open. Sometimes the tobacco is quite stale.
What are you doing, peeking over my shoulder?
Oh.
This is private correspondence.
Terribly sorry. I was intent on this tin of tobacco.
You were not. I've been watching you all along. A real snooper he is. The nerve of some people. Chelsea has certainly changed, and not for the better either.
Well, I was getting a bit concerned about you, Dickens.
I don't think I did very well. Mrs. Thompson wrote her letter at the stationer's. I watched her go to the corner of her street and post it seconds before the postman made his last collection.
Yeah, good. That means it'll be here shortly. Yes, I don't suppose you got close enough to the envelope to see any particularly identifying mark.
I was almost slapped in the face for being nosy, but I did see something hopeful. She put a kiss on the back of the envelope.
That will be of enormous help. As I secured the cooperation of the postmaster so that when the carrier arrives, we're permitted to examine all the letters he's collected before they are dispatched.
Ah, that's the postman. Now, Field, you'd better handle this alone. When I talked to that postman before, I pretended to be a tradesman trying to locate Townsend. I'll wait for you outside. I don't know, dear listener, whether I am conveying to you the excitement I felt at that moment. Stalking one's quarry, using subterfuges so as not to alarm the suspect's wife or the postman. In a way, I was play acting, as I do, reading my own words. In another way, I was helping to create characters and a situation, which is very much what an author does every time he sets pen to paper.
Charles Dickens worked alongside that handful of constables who were the first detectives of Scotland Yard. Their job was to cover all of England, to deter and apprehend hundreds of criminals, the beginning of what today is a network of expert criminologists. Fortunately, those early days were well documented by one of the most popular novelists of all time, Mr. Dickens himself. I shall return shortly with Act 2. In the 1800s, Scotland Yard was in its infancy. Novelist Charles Dickens joined this small force of sleuths to assist in the apprehension of one very clever thief called Tally-Ho Thompson. In a London post office, Dickens' partner, Inspector Field, is trying to identify a letter sent to the suspect by his wife. He speaks to the local mail carrier.
You, sir, are the postman of the Chelsea area?
Yes, I am. I'm afraid the public is not permitted back here, sir.
Aye, sir, I'm an officer in the detective force. Field is the name.
Oh, how do you do, sir? Mine's Brackett.
Brackett, this is Inspector Field of Scotland Yard. He'd like to inspect the incoming mail. I told him he would extend every courtesy. Give him a hand, would you?
Yes, sir. I'll empty my bag onto the sorting table. Do you know which letter you're looking for, Inspector?
Yes, on the back is a seal with a wax kiss beside it. Here, help me turn all these letters face down, will you?
You gentlemen of Scotland Yard are quite thorough, aren't you? Yes. Is it a murderer you're after, sir?
No. A very crafty, elusive thief. One of my associates called him as a confidence man.
Gains your confidence and then rips your pocket, is that it?
Yes. Here's a letter with a seal and a kiss and sealing wax.
Put your hand right on it, didn't you?
It is addressed to a man, written on a lady's hand. Let me see. Thomas Pigeon, care of box 12. Buxton. How will it go out?
Oh, on the early morning train, I imagine.
It arrives in Buxton when?
About noon tomorrow.
Good enough. Now, you can have the letter back. Send it on, and I hope it arrives safely.
You're going to follow it?
My partner and I shall be riding in the very same train. Not in the baggage car with the mail, but third class. Good day, Mr. Brackett. And do thank your postmaster for me. Hi. Dickens.
Oh, you did it, Inspector. Did you get the information?
That's all we need, sir. Mrs. Thompson betrayed herself with a wax kiss. Good work of yours to observe.
Where is her letter going?
Thomas Pigeon, box 12, Buxton.
Pigeon? Not Townsend?
Oh, he's our Pigeon. Of that I'm positive.
Did you say Buxton?
My very word.
Oh, good heavens. That's 150 miles away.
120. Now go home and pack yourself some overnight clothes. You and I are taking a little journey tomorrow morning.
By train? Oh, dear.
Yes, by train.
You know, Inspector, train travel makes me violently ill. Inspector Field.
Yes, Dickens.
How far have we come?
It's like 100 miles, I'd say. Perhaps more.
How green do I look?
Oh, you don't look ill at all. You seem to have overcome your antipathy to train travel.
Yes, I only appear that way. My heart is in my mouth and my stomach wants to be next. How soon do we arrive in Buxton?
Oh, we are practically there. You've withstood this trip very well.
You did say you do a lot of traveling in your job.
It is as far north as Edinburgh and as far south as Land's End.
And all of you travel?
Oh, yes, indeed. Have to. There are only 15 in Scotland Yard. And we're hoping by 1880 to have 20 men.
I can see that detection could be a great art, but very wearing.
Especially on shoe leather. You've a keen eye for a man's motives. You should make an excellent detective.
But don't most criminals follow a set pattern of crime, a mode of operation identifiable as distinctly as their own?
Yes, I like the way you put that. A mode of operation.
But, couldn't we catalogue each method used so that, say, if a trunk is pried open, a door jimmied, a horse stolen, we'd know right away how to narrow down the field of suspects?
Yes, it would help. Now, each of the 15 of my men will rely more on their instinct than on facts. That's our stop. Dickens, I don't know what kind of a future you have in writing, but if I were you, I'd think seriously about a career of pursuing crooks, not producing books.
We took turns, Inspector Field and I, waiting at the Buxton post office for a letter from Mrs. Tally-Ho Townsend to be picked up. We waited 3 days. The third morning, my turn on duty, I got the signal from the local postmaster that a young man had put his key into box 12 and was removing the letter. I was patting the young man's horse when he came out of the post office, the letter in his hand. Ah, good boy. That's a good horse.
Hey, sir.
Yes.
That's my horse. What are you doing?
Yours? No. I'd know this mare anyway. It's Billy Jones's.
She certainly ain't.
No, you're having me on. She's very, very like Mr. Jones's mare.
She's no such thing. She belongs to Squire Harris at the Buxton Arms. He let me have her to pick up the post and do some errands. Will you please stand back, sir? I have to be on my way.
Oh, sorry, I could have sworn it was Mr. Jones' mare.
Kindly let go of the bridle so I can leave.
Yes, I'm terribly sorry, of course.
And the next
next thing I knew, Inspector, he had leaped into the saddle and he was off with a letter. Buxton Arms, that's where he was heading after he'd done some errands.
Bad luck, old boy. Sorry I wasn't on duty. I wanted to catch a glimpse of him. The young man. How would you describe him?
Well, he's obviously an ostler, a groom who takes care of the horses at the Buxton Arms Inn.
What did he look like?
Well, your usual country bumpkin. Freckles, red hair.
A snub nose, one ear smaller than the other.
Then you did see him.
A second finger of the left hand. Anything unusual about that?
Nothing I can remember. Oh, get along with you, Inspector. You were watching after all.
Dickens, you have just let our man slip through your hands.
That was Tally-Ho Townsend, that young man?
Yes, it's his baby face that's made him his fortune. People are taken in by that innocent look. Our next move is to get to the Buxton Arms before he disappears again.
As luck would have it, a farmer passed by with an empty milk cart. Field told him we were detectives about to apprehend a dangerous criminal, and the farmer whipped his horses so hard that we overtook Thompson on the high road and came into the stable yard of the Buxton Arms by one gate as he came in by another. Fields and I went straight into the bar.
What'll it be, gentlemen?
Brandy and water, miss, and one for my friend.
Inspector, there he is. He just came in with a letter.
It is not him.
Yes, but you said
it is not Thompson.
But the snub nose, the freckles.
And the red hair. No, it is not our man.
But he just handed the barmaid the letter, and she stuck it up behind the glass.
There you are, sir. 2 brandies and a water. What do you have, sir?
Oh. Either Thompson himself will come by and pick up his wife's letter, or the barmaid will forward it to another address. Well, the best we can do now is to try to get lodgings here and spend time listening here at the bar and watching. Now, between us, we ought to be able to catch whoever comes for that letter.
George, I'm going out for about an hour. Will you watch the bar for me?
Don't be longer, Rosie, my girl.
Inspector, she's taken the letter with her. She's going out the door.
Yes, well, I'm going to speak to the tavern keeper and tell him who we are and why we're here. You follow Rosie.
I did follow her. It was getting dark. She ran up the road to a little house nearby, so I waited outside. Presently, she came out, but she no longer carried the letter. She started back for the tavern, and I wasn't sure what to do. Field had said to follow her.
Dickens.
Oh, Inspector, I thought I was pretty well hidden behind this lamppost.
I saw the girl heading back for the inn. What did she do with the letter?
Well, I presume she delivered it and left it inside that house across the road.
That could mean our man is in there. Well, there's only one way to find out. Now, you keep to the trees. There's no point in giving him advance warning.
It's quite dark now, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, no one inside has lit a lamp. I mean, there's not a single light burning.
Well, if Townsend is in there, why does he remain in the dark? From this point, down on your hands and knees, crawl. I'll go first. There we are. Easy, Dickens. This is the door. Thompson, we know you're in there. I'm an officer from London, come to take you into custody for a felony.
Someone's broken out of the window at the back, Inspector. I'm going after him. Stop! Stop in the name of the law! Stop! Inspector, he had a horse tied up there in the back. He jumped through the window and he made off.
Oh, drat, he's been warned, and there's only one person who could have done it.
Rosie, at the Buxton Arms.
Yes, if she's still there. It's a half a mile, Dickens. Let's run for it.
I am a suspect. Oh, what am I suspected of?
Your situation is worse than that, Miss Rosie. It is very possible. You are an accomplice.
I don't know what you gentlemen mean. What's an accomplice?
My dear child, it means a person who helps another in the performance of a crime.
Oh, I never did any such thing.
Inspector, I believe, Rosie, I think she's telling the truth.
Rosie, What do you know about that letter?
What letter?
The sooner you admit your participation in this felony, the easier for you.
I don't know what letter you're talking about.
Well, you see, Dickens, you cannot deal with people who are unable to tell the truth. Congenital liars, sir. We will arrest this young woman on suspicion of complicity in grand larceny and theft.
But I haven't done anything.
Inspector, may I have a few minutes alone with the suspect?
Yes, if you want. I'll go and speak to George and tell him he had better get himself another barmaid. And then find out when the next train leaves for London. I doubt whether you'll get anything with this girl. But you can try.
What today is called the Mutt and Jeff technique of interrogation first saw the light of day in Charles Dickens' time. How well it works against modern criminals we have only to read in the daily papers. How well it worked in the case of the barmaid and the thief we shall discover when I return shortly with Act 3. We've turned back the clock more than 100 years to the time when Scotland Yard was in its infancy, when the detective force responsible for all of England was a mere 15 men, and one of those was Charles Dickens. Yes, the Charles Dickens, the novelist. As our curtain rises, he and Inspector Field are questioning a barmaid.
Just a moment, Dickens. Before I leave you alone with the suspect, I want her to realize that I have run across too many young girls like her who believe they can twist the law to suit themselves, and then come crying to some judge pleading innocence of the law.
Inspector, why are you badgering this young lady? I'm sure Rosie has a perfectly valid explanation for her actions. Now, Rosie, the inspector and I are only doing our duty.
I don't know anything about anything.
Yes, well, we'll see about that. She's all yours, Dickens.
Now, Rosie, believe me, I'm your friend. If you don't tell me what you know, you can get into a great deal of trouble. The police know that you received a letter from London addressed to a Mr. Thomas Pigeon. You were followed to number 56 on the High Street earlier today, a small house to which you had the key, and you were carrying that letter. Now, you left the house without it. Why don't you admit that much, since the police already know that?
I did bring Tom a letter, and I never said I didn't. But what crime is that?
So you did deliver that letter. Have you brought him other letters in the past?
No, it just hasn't come up. He's been staying in my house, and I bring him food.
Is he ill?
He says so, but he doesn't always act so sick to me.
Rosie, do you know that he's hiding from the police?
He is not. He just isn't feeling well.
By now you must have realized he is a wanted man.
What's he done?
He's a thief and a cheat who victimizes anyone he can get his hands on.
I don't believe that. Not for a moment. Not my Tom.
Well, you may not know it, but he knows it. After you left number 56 on the High Street, Inspector Field and I entered the house to apprehend him. He jumped out a back window and he rode off on a horse.
I don't believe you.
Rosie, be sensible. A nice, honest girl like you. Why are you protecting a man with a criminal record?
If he left the house, he had good reason.
Yes, he knows Scotland Yard is after him.
That's not true.
Rosie, I'm sorry you're being so stubborn. I advise you, for your own good, be truthful. If you're not truthful, and you get up in court and lie, the punishment is jail and a flogging. You know what a flogging is?
Yes.
So be sensible and tell me everything. Why did you carry that letter to Thomas Pigeon?
Because Thomas is my husband.
What?
We were married 2 weeks ago. I only did what he asked me to. But that's my duty as a wife. Isn't it?
Inspector, just in time.
Yes, well, was Miss Rosie my cooperative or not?
Rosie, Would you mind repeating for the inspector what you just told me?
You mean about me and Tom being married?
What? You're married to Tally-Ho Thompson?
I never said that. I'm married to Thomas Pigeon.
Rosie, Thomas Pigeon and Tally-Ho Thompson are one and the same.
Oh, I don't know anything about any Tally-Ho Thompson. How do you know Tom is him?
Yes, well, she may have something there, Inspector. We haven't proved they're one and the same, those two.
When the time comes, there'll be proof enough. We know Mrs. Thompson sent a letter to her husband addressing it to Thomas Pigeon, Box 12, Buxton. It was picked up by a young man at the post office and given to Rosie at the bar, and Rosie took it to Pigeon.
Are you saying... Whose husband? Tom has no other wife than me. I'm his wife. He never said anything to me about a wife.
Rosie, how long have you known Thomas Pigeon?
Oh, on an awful long time. He always stops at the inn. He'd go away and come back. He's a traveling man.
You said you married him 2 weeks ago.
Oh, we did, and then he came to live in my house. It was left me by my grandmother.
Rosie, you have 10 minutes to pack a bag.
Where am I going?
To London, to Scotland Yard.
You both taking me there?
Only Mr. Dickens. I am remaining in Buxton.
Well, can I go to my house and get my things?
Dickens, go along with her. I want her back here in 10 minutes.
Inspector, we're back. I had the young lady outside in a coach.
Alone? Why didn't you bring her in here?
Well, she was weeping a great deal.
Well, just the same, leaving her alone. You know, that's risky.
She's given me her word.
Well, the reason I'm staying on in Buxton is to keep an eye on that house. Now, if Tally-Ho comes back, and he might, I'll be here to nab him. You'll have to wait a bit at the station. It's 2 hours before the night train to London.
Yes, well, and as soon as I get there, I'm to take Rosie to the yacht.
Oh, she's a slippery little parcel, that one. Don't be taken in by her.
Inspector, I'd like you to come over here to the window and have a look out.
Well, Dickens. I admit I am surprised. You have some extraordinary powers of persuasion. That girl is sitting in that coach with her hands folded as demurely as if she were going to Sunday school and not to prison.
Persuasion, Inspector, is a talent of mine that I've developed over the years. An ability to win people's confidence and trust from the wicked as well as the innocent.
You don't leave me much to say by way of praise.
I don't.
No, you say it all yourself. Well, you may go now, and the best of luck to you.
Thank you, Inspector. I hope I shan't need it. You're very quiet, Rosie.
I don't have nothing to say, sir.
Well, you left us no alternative. I mean, if only you had told the inspector and me everything you know about Tally-Ho Thompson, you might be serving drinks this very minute at the Arms.
I told you nothing because I knew nothing.
You know you're being taken to London, don't you?
So you said.
And, Rosie, you know I'm your friend, don't you?
So you said.
Yes. I mean, I was brought up poor, too, you know. I know what it means when everything seems to turn against you, but I also found out you can never get hurt when you tell the truth.
Zero!
Coachman, watch yourself. We're being thrown about in here. Coachman, you up there on the box, do you hear me? Coachman, I want an answer.
Yes, sir.
Is this the road to the railroad station?
Yes, sir, it is, yes.
Well, it's not the same way we came.
Well, it's a shortcut, sir.
We don't need a shortcut. We have hours to spare. Now, Coachman, I want this carriage stopped right now. Do you hear me? Stop right here this very minute. Now, Coachman, I want you to come down off there.
I've got a bad leg, sir. If you could reach up through the front window and give me a hand.
Yes, all right, certainly. There we are. Hold on to me. Hold on to both my hands.
I'm holding on. Got him, Rosie. Now, do your job.
Good, Rail. Let go. Let go of my hand. Let go of...
I got him. He stopped moving about. I'm holding the silk handkerchief right to his nose. His chloroform works like magic. Look at him, lying there on the floor of the carriage. He isn't going to die, is he?
No. It just puts you to sleep.
What do we do now?
Well, we wait here for my brother.
Oh, when will he be here?
No, not long now. He's like clockwork. When Tally-ho gets here, we'll dump our sleeping friend into the road, and the three of us will drive to the station. Me up in the coach box, Tally-ho pretending to be the man from Scotland Yard, and you, Rosie, will be Tally-ho's prisoner.
Oh, do you think he'll fool the station master?
Rosie, me wife, you have me word on it. Tally-ho has made a study of station masters.
And then what?
Well, the train comes in, and we're off to London. A big city to hide in. Oh, that's old Tally-ho now. Oh, shit. Oh, our Scotland Yard friend is asleep in the bottom of the coach. I'll tie up my horse to this tree and give you an hand to carry the fella to the side of the road where he won't be found in a hurry. How much time do we have? About another hour, I'd say. We can ride slowly into Buxton, have a chat with the station master, and board the London train. Well, Rosie, I bet you didn't think life would be as exciting as this when you married Brother Tom, did you, eh? Has he been treating you all right?
Yes, sir.
Let's get this unconscious man out of the carriage. Come on, give me a hand.
Oh, be careful with him. He's the only one who ever treated me like a lady.
Well, so far, so good. Here we are at the station.
Tom, I'm getting awful nervous.
See what happens, Tally-ho, when you marry a country girl? She gets nervous.
I keep thinking of that poor Mr. Dickens lying in the weeds by the side of the road.
Come on, out of the coach, everyone. Brother Tom, before the London train pulls in, I think we'd better get acquainted with the station master. He must be in there. I see the sign over the door. Yes, well, I'll go first. Now, I'm the man from Scotland Yard, Rosie. You're the prisoner. You're next. And Tom, you bring up the rear.
Well, come in, all of you.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you the station master?
No, I'm Inspector Field of Scotland Yard. And this is my associate, Charles Dickens, also of the Yard. Tally-ho, Thompson. You and your brother Tom, and you, little lady, are all three of you under arrest. Well, I have to admit to you, Dickens, that if you hadn't recovered from that chloroform and taken Thompson's horse and alerted me before the London train was due in Buxton, we might have missed the whole bunch.
They made me so furious, Inspector, you have no idea.
Yes, because little Rosie, who you thought was so demure, was in on the whole thing.
No, it never occurred to me Tally-ho had a brother Tom who looked so much like him. But who engineered the whole escape?
Mrs. Thompson, from our little place in Chelsea.
I'd like to go into the next compartment and talk to the prisoners, if you don't mind. It would be valuable for me to get an insight into how their minds work.
Yes, why not? I'll unlock the door and we'll go talk to them.
You don't know neither of you why I do it.
Don't we, Tally-ho? You think you're the first rapscallion who thinks he could live by his wits and cheat honest men?
I've had a hard life.
You chose a hard life.
What do you know? Are you that writer who joined the Yard? Look at those soft fingers.
You talking to me?
You see, even in the underworld they know you, Dickens.
Sure I know him. Making money hand over fist. Never had a hard day in his life.
You know, my good man, when I was 10, my father went to debtor's prison. My mother had 8 children and tried to make ends meet by opening a school. We were always hungry. Those were evil days for me. You stole, I worked.
Well, you're 10.
Yes, in a warehouse, labeling pots of blacking.
For how long?
Until my father got out of debtor's prison at Marshalsea, so don't talk to me about hard times, Tally-ho. I promised myself at 10 years of age I would never do anything that would lead me to prison.
Your father led you one way, mine led me another. I made a promise to myself, too.
Did you? And what did you swear, Tally-ho?
I swore to myself I'd do anything to keep from being poor.
Well, that's unfortunate. You made yourself the wrong promise.
It may seem incongruous that the self-same Charles Dickens, who gave us Bob Cratchit, Oliver Twist, Mr. Pickwick, and Nicholas Nickleby, should at one time in his life have been a working member of Scotland Yard. Yet, when we take a closer look at some of those who inhabit his pages, from Fagin to Scrooge, we realize it's not so impossible to believe after all. For it is from life that Dickens drew all his characters, good and evil. There are those who believe nothing goes right today, that crime pays, and that the wicked win. But we can take comfort from the way it was even some 200 years ago. As Dickens describes it, it could be today. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. What can I say to that except that we're still moving along? So, I guess we can all take heart. Our cast included Paul Hecht, Earl Hammond, Bob Caliban, and Tootie Wiggins. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.